Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for our first module of the Birch Project's 10 training modules on supporting youth in schools and in the community, trainings for paraprofessionals and mentors. This module sets the stage for the rest of the modules, so we encourage you to watch it to the end. Before beginning our content, I would like to introduce the Birch Project to those of you joining us for the first time for this module series. The Birch Project is the Behavioral Health Integrated Resources for Children project. Its mission is to provide professional development and resources for schools, as well as to strengthen coordination of behavioral health supports across school and community agencies. The Birch Project is led by faculty members from UMass Boston and UMass Amherst and is sponsored by Boston Children's Hospital. For more information, please check out our website at umb.edu/Birch. My name is Bryce Scottron, and I'm a third-year graduate student from the school psychology program at UMass Boston. The majority of my research has involved improving the resilience of BIPOC students, and I am excited to be here to present the module to you today. We would like to extend a huge thank you to the paraprofessionals and mentors who have made these modules possible. They provided us with invaluable insights into the work that they do, which has helped us develop the module you're about to view. Birch, in the Office of the Child Advocate, has partnered to develop a free training curriculum targeted for the paraprofessional and mentor workforce. The following training modules are based upon evidence-based practices, stakeholder interviews, and corresponding materials with the goal of enhancing social, emotional, and behavioral services for children across multiple settings. The modules focus on prevention and early intervention practices. In this module, you will learn about the different roles, types of, duties, and challenges paras and mentors face on a regular basis, an overview of a couple evidence-based public health approaches, and considerations for more inclusive, culturally responsive, and trauma-informed practices. In order to accomplish those learning objectives today, we will have 5 major segments of this module. First, we will review the roles, duties, and challenges for paraprofessionals and mentors in general, and why they are important. Next, we will go through an overview of public health approaches, followed by our model of framework of prevent, teach, reinforce. Finally, we will wrap up with considerations for approaching practice with an equity and trauma-informed lens. Paras play an integral role in student support. They provide individual instructional support, collaborate with parents, teachers, and other school personnel, respond to student crises, mentor and advocate for students. Other names they are known by are paraeducators, ed techs, classroom assistants, instructional aides, or teachers' assistants. Despite the incredible work paras do, many of the challenges they face can lead to burnout. Some paras report feeling overstretched, a lack of support, or confusion to whom they report to or look for guidance from when questions arise. It was reported that paras sometimes feel unprepared and unequipped to handle certain situations and crises. Some stated they are offered a limited number of opportunities for professional development. In addition, some paras express concerns surrounding blurred roles. For example, a para can operate as a one-to-one classroom aide and instructor at the same time. Similar to paras, mentors also play an important role in a student's life. However, they often function outside of the school setting, such as the community, homes, childcare centers, or respite settings. Mentors take on multiple roles such as coach, advocate, problem solver, and model. Mentors are expected to support the development of youth's pro-social skills and adaptive behaviors. Mentors work with clients on their conflict resolution and communication skills, educational or vocational activities, and teach alternative strategies that clients can implement when what they are using isn't helping them meet their goals. They build off a youth's protective factors and strengths. Much like paras, mentors can encounter a host of barriers and challenges. During our interviews, some mentors expressed a lack of training and preparedness. They reported being confronted by crises and experiences they were unsure how to handle. In addition, some mentors noted they did not have access to a lot of resources. A few mentors also reported not knowing where to go for help and support. Oftentimes, mentors play multiple roles in their clients' lives, such as mentor, tutor, and advocate. The expectations placed on mentors can lead to burnout and feeling overworked as well. The great news is that both the paras and mentors we interviewed talked about wanting to access high quality, ongoing supervision and training, to be respected and valued for the work they do, and care about the youth they serve. With that being said, how important is it for paras and mentors to have boundaries? We want to consider the basic needs of our youth and build off their strengths and protective factors as we consider why they might be experiencing behavioral health challenges and how best to intervene. Human decision-making is often bolstered by a desire to fulfill a set of needs. Maslow theorized that 5 core needs form the basis for behavioral motivation and response. The diagram demonstrates a motivational continuum, whereas the bottom of the pyramid represents our most basic human needs. As you travel up the pyramid, the needs become more complex and vary widely amongst individuals. We must consider the hierarchy of needs when considering our approach to working with youth. Each decision a child makes is either consciously or unconsciously made to fulfill one of the 5 categories of need. For example, a child may present as agitated and defiant during class because he, she, or they did not have breakfast before school. Behavioral response could be a result of a lack of one of the 5 basic needs. Also, Network of Care Massachusetts can help families locate specific resources, such as counseling services in their communities. A public health approach to behavioral health is a multi-tiered system of care whereby our focal point shifts from an individually focused, deficit-driven model of mental health intervention to a whole population strength-based approach. It's data-driven, evidence-based practices matched to a student's needs. At a tier 1 level, everyone has universal access to the interventions, whereas at the tier 2 level, interventions are directed towards a smaller percentage of a school population. In tier 3, interventions are individually focused and generally dedicated to the most intensive behavioral needs. Positive behavioral interventions and supports is an evidence-based 3-tiered framework for improving and integrating all the data, systems, and practices affecting student outcomes every day. It is a way to support everyone, especially students with disabilities, to create the kinds of schools where all students are successful. When it's implemented well, students achieve improved social and academic outcomes, schools experience reduced exclusionary discipline practices, and school personnel feel more effective. Please take a few minutes to watch the following example of a PBIS intervention within a middle school math class.
Thank you for coming in quickly and quietly. Quickly and quietly. Good morning. Quickly and quietly. You're fine, Trina. If I didn't say anything to you, you're fine. Quickly and quietly.
I returned it in your box.
I got it. Thank you, Alexis, for getting your pencil out and being ready to go. Thank you. The 4-to-1 ratio for PBIS is 4 positives for every corrective behavior that you do in your classroom. So if I ask a student to stay on task, then I'm going to make sure that I follow that by 4 positives Thank you for being on task. Thank you for having your pencil. Thank you for eyes on me. Those kinds of compliments that are supporting the positive behaviors that I see with the student. Patiently and calmly, and then come back around and go through the aisles for your circular flow. Yes? Yes. First row, go get your books, please. Just as a reminder, our backpack should be underneath our desks so we don't trip and kill ourselves. We should have our pencils out. Great job, guys. Thank you for making the change. Next row. Tie your shoe, you're gonna break your neck. Hey, thank you everybody for having your pencils today. And those of you who borrowed, I appreciate you borrowing it at the beginning of the period. A positive acknowledgement is when the student is demonstrating a behavior that it's appropriate in class and you want them to continue to exhibiting that behavior. So for example, when the student is staying on task, the student is following instructions, the student is working well with peers or listening, then I can acknowledge that the student is demonstrating that positive behavior in class. I think it's a great spot for us to start. This number and this number. I would define a negative corrective statement as a statement that tells the student that something is amiss. So they're exhibiting some sort of behavior that doesn't fall in line with my expectations in the class. And so I pose this statement so that they can think about what am I doing in my behavior, and so that they can correct it. And then if they correct it, then I can follow it up with something positive and acknowledge that positive correction that they have made. Why is the quotient smaller? Those kinds of questions. Yes, Trina. When do you need to sharpen your pencil, Trina? Is this the beginning of class? No, this is not. So what is your option in regards to pencils? Then do it. Don't talk to me about it. All right, so go ahead and start answering. All right, so go ahead and start answering. Good job. Thank you for starting to write, Trina. I appreciate that. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. I see Christopher writing. I see people rereading their answer to make sure it makes sense. I think that's a great strategy. I see that everybody's writing, so that's good as well. Right, we're finishing up those last pieces. Clap once, clap twice. Thank you. Okay, so now we need to share out. Remember, no opt out. Everyone's going to share. We're going to start with. Thank you, you two, for sharing. I do appreciate that. You understand the questions later, but you are missing the part where you're explaining your reasoning. I think that this piece that we're missing. Can you like this? Okay, I see that you both had some reasoning there, and I appreciate that. So thank you for sharing. Andrew? There are 4 words of 3 fourths. 15 to 3. Yes.
I didn't write this down, but to divide, you have to make 3 into a improper fraction, and then divide. No, never mind.
Never mind? You're not sure? Thank you for trying. I appreciate you trying, though. Yes. All right, so when I did this last time, we only had 3 fourths. Divide by 3, and our answer was what? How do we get 4? That is a great question, Hawk. All right. So what we did, here's the thing. I want kids to come into my room, and yes, they have to come into my room, but I want them to want to be here. And I want them to feel like I care, because I genuinely do care about how they're feeling in my room. I understand that school is not fun for everyone. It was fun for me, but it may not be fun for all the kids. And so I really feel like by implementing that 4-to-1, I know it sounds silly, but by implementing it, I feel like they feel better about being here. They like coming to a room. I mean, to have middle schoolers smile about coming into a math classroom, that's huge. Like, I couldn't buy that. And I'll use it all the time if that's what it takes. Fourths, right? Because this is asking me about 3 fourths. So I have 1/4
And then the whole number, you add 1. So it would 2 times 1.
It's okay. Take a deep breath. You're all right. You're doing great.
It said that you would do.
How did I know that? Great question, Hawk. Okay, but we're not you looking at this. Oh, thank you for helping me understand. Yeah, no variables. We are not there. Okay, thank you. You very much changed from last time with I don't get it too. I don't exactly get this part. So good job, Hawk. Okay, so first of all, we multiply straight across. All right, so I did not excuse you. Remember, the bell doesn't excuse you, I do. Betsy, you may now pack up group 1. After watching the video, it was very obvious that there are 2 different faces that I use when I'm giving a positive kind of acknowledgement and a corrective kind of statement. I need to work on more of a poker face because I think there's definitely a negative face that I'm giving students when I'm asking them to do something. And of course, I'm smiling when I'm asking them, telling them that they're doing something positive. I also noticed that my voice changes when I'm giving a positive acknowledgement and when I'm giving some corrective statements. I have a little bit more of a harsher tone when I'm giving a corrective statement. And even if I'm trying to say it nicely, I'm definitely saying it different than when I'm giving a positive kind of acknowledgement to students. So it was very surprising. I did not notice that. Oh, you take care of that. Thank you so much for making sure those are neat. Jesse, you are a true creature of habit. When I was being recorded, I did not know that PBIS was the focus of my recording. And so I would assume that during the recording, I really tried to, I didn't think about it, but I'm assuming that it was 3-to-1, 4-to-1. It wasn't something that I was trying to do during the recording. So it wasn't something that I was cognizant of while I was recording, but I'm assuming it was close to 4-to-1.
As previously mentioned, a multi-tiered system of support meets students' needs where they are. Universal interventions are designed to help schools identify struggling students early so they intervene quickly. This can prevent future negative behavioral results and improve social and academic outcomes. Targeted interventions focus on supporting students who are at risk for developing more serious problem behavior before those behaviors start, generally in a small group setting. It is recommended when a student need is not met by Tier 1 interventions alone, Tier 2 interventions are used. Intensive individualized interventions work to improve student behavioral and academic outcomes in a 1-to-1 setting. At most schools, 1 to 5% of students' needs are not met by only Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions. Those students require a highly focused, individualized 1-to-1 support plan. For example, some Boston public schools use a universal screener called BIMAS, or Behavioral Intervention Monitoring Assessment System, to identify students who might be at risk or in need of further support and assessment. The assessment consists of 5 scales: conduct, negative affect, cognitive/attention, social, and academic functioning. The goal of universal behavioral health screening is to identify changes we can make to the overall system as adults to better support all youth. In addition to identifying students in need of further support at Tier 2 and Tier 3 levels. In utilizing the BIMAS, a para could create a tier 2 social skills group with students who are identified as being challenged socially in school. In addition, a para may provide one-on-one support with a student who is identified as a high risk for negative affect on the BIMAS. The Prevent, Teach, Reinforce model of positive behavior support is an evidence-based, systematic, structured process for supporting students with challenging behaviors. The next modules in this training series were developed using the framework of the PTR model. The goal is to prevent challenging behaviors before they occur, teach individuals how to do something like manage emotional dysregulation, and reinforce behaviors that are more adaptive and feel better for the student to encourage these behaviors to occur again. Some of the key tenets of PTR are modeling, validating and redirecting, praise, and reinforcement. As you continue through the training, you will learn a more detailed description of the PTR framework and why it is important for use in child and adolescent behavioral health. A critical aspect often overlooked in behavioral health is the impact of culture and trauma. In order for us to work effectively with a diverse population, we must consider our own biases and blind spots outside of our experiences. With that being said, I would like us to pause this recording for a moment and click on the link that states implicit association test. Please choose a category and take one of the brief IAT tests. Were you shocked or surprised by your results? What did you think about the test? Do you agree or disagree with the results? I would encourage you during your free time to try multiple category tests. In addition to the IAT, please click on the Adverse Childhood Experiences link. Take a brief self-report. What did you learn about yourself? Were you shocked or surprised by the results? Culturally responsive practices considers the role of culture in education and learning about the beliefs and values of each culture represented by your students or mentees. It is important to gain insight into issues that historically have marginalized students and mentees, families, and communities. Trauma-informed practices considers the widespread impact of trauma on your students and mentees' mental health and well-being. What are some potential paths to recovery? Trauma-informed care recognizes signs and symptoms resulting from trauma. Why might your student be socially anxious? Could their behavior be linked to a singular incident or an ongoing experience that are affecting behavior? Responsible practice should fully integrate knowledge about trauma into the policies, procedures, and practices of a paraprofessional and mentor. The most important thing to remember when providing trauma-informed care is to always be mindful to not re-traumatize your students and mentees. If you see your students and mentees become dysregulated and upset following exercise, a request, or another common school demand, do not push your student or mentee. Look to initiate an intervention that will give your students and mentees a place of safety. We hope you were able to take away 3 main themes today. 1, paraprofessionals and mentors are critical members in the behavioral and social emotional development of youth. 2, evidence-based public health approaches provide systems to prevent negative student outcomes. They teach adaptive skills and reinforce positive behaviors. And finally, 3, culturally responsive practices help service providers to meet the students where they are and implement interventions that are more relevant to their lives. If you're watching this module as a group or on your own, please take a few minutes now surfing through the Center on Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports website. What are some guided questions you can use while looking through the information presented on this website that can help support your work? For more resources and information, please visit the following websites. Here are the references used throughout this presentation. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our introduction into a fantastic training program dedicated to supporting paraprofessionals and mentors. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Please give us your feedback and complete this brief evaluation. At our website, www.umb.edu/Birch, you can sign up for our subscription list to get more information on best practices related to supporting the behavioral health needs and well-being of youth. We would love to hear from you. Please reach out to us with thoughts or questions. Thank you all for all the support you do for youth in our schools and communities. It is difficult work and we are so grateful to you.